A disposable camera from a company retreat exposed my wife's affair. So I crashed the next one and made sure the whole team saw who she really was. The fire that night wasn't the only thing burning. My name's Caleb, 32. I'm a welder. Hands calloused, back permanently sore, but proud of the work I do. Built my own garage. Fixed up our first home with nothing but grit, YouTube tutorials, and cheap beer. I'm not a man of many words, but when I love hard. I thought that mattered. Tina was 29. HR specialist. Everyone's favorite. Bubbly, quick to laugh. Always the one organizing birthdays, secret Santas, and afterwork mixers. The kind of woman who turned heads without trying, even in sneakers and a company hoodie. To her coworkers, she was the heart of the team. To me, she was my wife. My world. We didn't have kids yet, but we talked about it. Had names picked out. Sunday mornings were ours. Eggs, bad reality TV, her feet in my lap while I rubbed the tension out of her week. We weren't perfect, but I thought we were solid. Unshakable. I didn't see the crack until it shattered. It happened the day after she got back from one of her company retreats. They do these twice a year, a forest lodge upstate, no spouses allowed, team bonding in nature. She always came back recharged, glowing, hugging me like she'd been gone for months instead of a weekend. I was helping unpack her bag. Nothing suspicious, just trying to be useful while she hopped in the shower, humming that same damn Lizzo song she always sang when she was in a good mood. I was pulling her hoodie out when I found it. A Walgreens envelope. Thick. Glossy. A roll of photos from a disposable camera. I frowned. Tina wasn't the nostalgic type. She lived on her phone, digital albums, cloud backups, Instagram stories with pastel filters and motivational quotes. This felt private, tucked away, forgotten, or maybe hidden. The shower kept running upstairs. I sat down at the edge of the bed, opened the envelope, and slid the photos out. First shot, the team around a campfire. Red cups. Laughter. Nothing strange. Next, Tina toasting marshmallows, her face flushed and happy. Jason, the project manager, beside her, his arm barely grazing hers. Next, Tina on someone's shoulders, Jason's, laughing, holding a bottle of Fireball. Next, Jason feeding her a marshmallow with his fingers. Her mouth open, her eyes locked on his. My pulse started to climb. Each photo felt more intimate than the last. Her hand on his knee, his head on her shoulder, the way their bodies leaned in like magnets. Then I hit the photo that stopped everything. Tina, straddling him, her legs wrapped around his waist, firelight dancing across her bare skin. Jason's hand up her shirt, her mouth on his neck. Their co-workers in the background, blurred, unaware, or pretending not to see. And her wedding ring, my ring, nowhere in sight. I dropped the photo, heart pounding like a jackhammer in my chest. My stomach flipped. I flipped to the next shot, half hoping it was a mistake. A prank. Something explainable. It wasn't. Jason, shirtless, holding a beer. Around his neck, a chain. And hanging from that chain, her wedding ring. Like some kind of sick trophy. I sat there in silence. The whole house still smelled like her shampoo. Her towel was on the floor. Her toothbrush was still wet. I wasn't looking for this, but it found me anyway. And now I knew. The woman I gave my loyalty to, who promised forever, was playing house with another man, while I was at home fixing a leaky pipe and folding her laundry. She didn't just cheat. She made it fun. And now? Now I had proof. It was late. We were drunk. Nothing happened. That's what she said, like my marriage could be brushed off like a hangover. She came downstairs wrapped in a towel, steam still rising off her shoulders. Hair wet, skin glowing. The same body I used to worship like a religion. Now just a crime scene I couldn't look at the same way. She found me at the kitchen table. Photos laid out like a timeline of betrayal. She froze. Didn't say anything at first. Just stared. I didn't look up. Just slid one across the table. The one where she's on Jason's lap, laughing like she didn't have a husband waiting at home. This, I said quietly. What the hell is this? Silence. Then she did something that almost impressed me. She laughed. A short, breathy little laugh. Like she'd just stepped into a scene she didn't recognize, but figured she could improvise her way out. Oh my God, she said, reaching for the photo. That's from the retreat? Caleb, come on, it was just a joke. I looked up slowly. A joke? She nodded. Too fast. We were drinking. Everyone was messing around. Someone handed me the camera and said, Do something funny. That's all it was. My jaw clenched so tight it felt like my teeth would crack. So you let another man put his hands up your shirt for a laugh? She hesitated. It looks worse than it was, she said, eyes darting across the table, landing on the other photos. I pushed the next one toward her. Jason, shirtless, grinning at the fire, her wedding ring around his neck like a souvenir. Her smile faltered. Where's your ring, Tina? She swallowed. I took it off because I didn't want to lose it in the lake. There's no lake in that photo. Her fingers trembled slightly. She tried to grab the photo, but I held it. She was unraveling, but still trying to keep the mask on. The cool wife mask. The don't make a big deal out of nothing mask. You expect me to believe this is just drunk campfire banter? I said, because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you left your husband at home and played honeymoon with Jason. She folded her arms, shifting into defensive mode. This is why I didn't tell you about the photos, she snapped. Because I knew you'd overreact. It's nothing. You're reading into it because you're insecure. And there it was. That word. Insecure. The one women like Tina use like a weapon when they get caught. You're flipping out over a picture taken after 4 shots of tequila and a group game of truth or dare. You really want to destroy our marriage over that. I stood up slowly, heart pounding. Tina, I said, voice low, do you honestly think I'm that stupid? I think, she said, stepping back, that you're making something out of nothing because you don't understand how these retreats work. We bond. We get silly. We unwind. That's the point. Is it also the point to take your wedding ring off and hand it to another man? It was a joke, she said again, louder this time. Jesus, Caleb, why are you acting like I slept with him? I stared at her. Because she hadn't denied it. Because nowhere in her little panic script had she said the words, I didn't cheat. Just that it looked worse than it was. Just that it was a joke. And now her voice was rising, trying to flip the script. Make me the controlling one. The suspicious one. The jealous husband who couldn't handle his wife having fun. She didn't know I'd already noticed something else. That I wasn't tagged in any retreat photos. That I wasn't mentioned. That the girl who once bragged about her husband building her a porch swing suddenly had a digital life where I didn't exist. I picked up the stack of photos. You say this was all harmless, I said, stepping closer. But tell me something, Tina, if it was so harmless, why didn't you show me these when you got home? She opened her mouth, closed it. I leaned in. Because you knew. And in that moment, that flicker of guilt flashing across her face, I knew I wasn't crazy. I wasn't insecure. I wasn't jealous. I was right. She crossed her arms, tone colder now. If you want to blow up our marriage over some stupid retreat photos, that's your choice. But I'm not going to sit here and be interrogated like a criminal. I nodded slowly. Good to know. She rolled her eyes and turned to go upstairs. By the way, I said, stopping her. She paused. That's not the only picture, I said. There's more. From other people. From social media. The stuff you didn't think I'd see. She stiffened. I didn't elaborate. Just let the silence sink its teeth into her. She walked away, slower this time. And I stood there, staring at the photos again. Not just what they showed, but what they proved. She wasn't hiding it from the world, just from me. The silence between us turned into a wall. Thick, cold, untouched. Tina acted like the conversation never happened. Made dinner like normal. Kissed me on the cheek like normal. Laughed at a YouTube clip like nothing was cracked beneath the surface. But I'd seen the crack, and now I couldn't stop staring at it. That night, after she went to bed, I sat on the couch, the glow of the TV flickering in the background. I wasn't watching it. My phone was in my hand, her name open on Instagram. Private account. Still following me. Her latest post? A selfie in a hammock, captioned, reset, recharge, retreat vibes. 137 likes. Comments full of heart emojis, Queen Fire, and HR Goddess. But nothing from me. No mention. No tag. No husband. I scrolled. Weeks back. Months. The last photo of us together was from 6 months ago, our anniversary dinner. After that, it was office parties, coffee selfies, and an endless parade of work fam hashtags. I checked her tagged photos. Nothing with me. But Jason? Oh, he was in plenty. Campfire group shots. Kayaking clips. A photo of him and Tina roasting marshmallows, her arm tucked behind his back. Not touching, but almost. Too close for comfort. I clicked the account that posted it. Private. I tapped her coworker's name. One I remembered from the Christmas party. Alexa something. I searched her on Facebook. Blocked. I blinked. Tried again. Blocked. I checked 3 more co-workers I remembered. All blocked. All the women I'd made small talk with at Tina's work functions. Gone. I switched to my laptop and opened an incognito tab. Made a fake account. No photo. No followers. Just enough to lurk. It took 10 minutes to rebuild what Tina had carefully erased. Jason's Instagram was public. Big surprise. Outdoorsy dad jokes and sunset flexing. Project manager vibes. With his Jeep in the background and a golden retriever he probably used as bait for likes. His retreat photo dump was full. Slide after slide. Group dinner around a bonfire. A blurry pic of someone diving into a lake. And then, Tina, standing next to him. Close. Too close. Same dress she wore in the photo from the disposable camera. The one where her legs wrapped around him like she forgot how marriages work. She was smiling, but not at the camera. At him. My heart pounded. A slow, dull thud in my chest. Like my body already knew what my brain was still trying to catch up to. I clicked on a comment. At Tina HR Queen. OMG, that night was wild, face with tears of joy fire. Jason replied. Let's just say HR got a little unprofessional, smiling face with horns. Her reply? Sure, don't get me fired, lol, see no evil monkey. I sat there, phone in one hand, fists clenched in the other. It wasn't just one photo. It wasn't just one moment. It was a pattern, a story unfolding in snapshots and emojis and inside jokes I was never supposed to see. I checked Facebook next. Searched her company's retreat album from last year. Guess who was in every single one? Jason and Tina. Always standing next to each other. Always paired up. Always that same body language. Hers leaning in, his eyes glued to her like a man who already knew what her skin felt like under the campfire light. And me? I wasn't in any of it. Not even mentioned. The man she went home to, slept next to, shared a life with. She made me invisible in the world she actually lived in. That's when it hit me. Tina wasn't hiding the affair from the world. She was hiding me from them. She didn't want her co-workers to know she was married. She wanted to keep playing the fun, flirty, single Tina role. The one who could sit in a co-worker's lap and giggle about it later. The one who could pass off deep intimacy as team bonding. And I was the fool sitting at home, thinking I was part of the show. I leaned back in the chair, heart racing, brain screaming. And then I opened a blank notes file. Typed one word at the top. Plan. Because if she wanted to live a double life, I was about to make her live in it. And I was done being erased. Everyone adored her. I used to think that was a compliment. Now I knew it was a warning. If you'd walked into Tina's office on any given Tuesday, you'd think you were stepping into a Pinterest board with a clipboard. Her space smelled like lavender and ambition. Succulents lined the windowsill. Her whiteboard was filled with motivational crap, like positive vibes equals productive tribes. She was the kind of HR rep who remembered birthdays, brought gluten-free cupcakes, and knew your dog's name. At the Christmas party last year, her manager gave a toast and called her the glue that holds this place together. Everyone clapped. I clapped too. But now, I couldn't unsee the cracks. The truth is, Tina didn't just work at her company. She ran it, socially, emotionally. She was the smiling gatekeeper of morale, the one everyone went to for advice, for hugs, for venting. She'd built a kingdom out of charm, and no one questioned the queen. No one noticed when Jason started showing up early for meetings, or staying late after team-building prep. No one thought it was strange that their retreats never included spouses. That Tina booked the same rooms, the same seating arrangements, the same pairing activities every time. No one ever called her out. Because why would they? She was Tina. Fun Tina. Supportive Tina. The one who brought breakfast on Mondays and planned Taco Tuesdays. Even her boss, Harold, mid-50s, harmless, golf-obsessed, once told me at a company mixer, "You married the best thing that ever happened to this office." I used to smile at that. Now it made my skin crawl. I started watching her closer. The way her voice changed when she answered a call from work. Brighter, breathier. How she'd laugh louder when Jason was on speaker. How she always locked her phone the second I walked into a room. That Saturday, we were folding laundry when I decided to push a little. Company retreat again next month? I asked casual. She didn't look up. Yeah, first weekend. Same lodge. You know the drill. No spouses again? She glanced at me then, just for a second. Enough for the mask to slip. Company policy, she said. It's just how it is. HR doesn't make the rules, babe. Except she was HR. She made every schedule, booked every room, designed every retreat, chose every activity. I smiled, nodded. Right. You just enforce them. She folded a towel and moved to the next pile, avoiding my eyes. I wanted to scream, to grab her phone, to drag the truth out of her with force. But I didn't, because revenge this time wouldn't be loud. It would be smart. I spent that night rereading the retreat itinerary she left on the counter, laminated, color-coded. She was so proud of her planning. She'd even circled the final night in highlighter. Truth circle, mandatory. That's when the idea started forming. Because if Tina loved being the queen of her little company kingdom, then I was going to make sure her entire court watched her crown fall off. But I needed more. Proof. Details. Leverage. Because the thing about queens? They don't fall unless you hit them where it hurts. And Tina's power didn't just come from charm. It came from control. Control over secrets. Control over people. But she'd forgotten one thing. She didn't control me anymore. She said it was company policy. I said I understood. But I was already packing my bag. It was a Tuesday night when she brought it up. We were eating takeout on the couch. Her legs tucked under her, mine planted like concrete. She had chopsticks in one hand, her phone in the other, laughing at something in a group chat I wasn't invited to. They finally locked in the dates for the next retreat, she said, eyes still on the screen. First weekend of next month. I didn't flinch. Same place? Yup. The lodge. Fire pits. No Wi-Fi. You'd hate it. I let that hang there. She glanced over, reading my silence like a lie detector. You're not mad, right? I know it sucks that spouses can't come, but it's just how these things are. It's always been policy. There it was again. That word. Policy. She said it like it was law, like it was out of her hands, like she didn't write the damn itinerary in Canva and get it laminated. I turned to her, forced a smile. No, I get it. Company rules. No big deal. She relaxed, just like that, sipped her wine, tapped back into her group chat. But inside, my hands were curling into fists. She thought I was done asking questions. She thought I'd stay home again, like a loyal idiot, while she played camp counselor with a man who wore my wedding ring like a souvenir. That night, after she fell asleep, her back to me, breathing soft, phone screen still lit up on the nightstand. I opened my laptop. Searched the retreat lodge. Easy. It was the same one every time. Private cabins. Group fire pits. Nearby hiking trails. Perfect for unplugged corporate bonding. I booked a cabin less than a quarter-mile away. Same weekend. No one needed to know I'd be there. And if I played it right, I wouldn't even need to see her. Not yet. First, I needed to watch. Because if there was one thing I'd learned from that camera roll, it was that they got sloppy when they felt safe. The next morning, she was back in professional mode. Blouse tucked in, coffee in hand, ponytail bouncing. Don't forget, she said, kissing me quickly before heading out the door. I've got that planning meeting tonight. Probably won't be home until late. Team bonding prep? I asked, sipping my coffee. She paused. Just for a second. Yeah, gotta make sure the weekend runs smooth. Of course, I said. Wouldn't want anyone stepping out of line. She didn't reply, just smiled. That tight, don't rock the boat smile. And left. I spent the next week gathering intel. Built a burner Instagram account. Followed all her coworkers. Slid into the background like smoke. No one noticed. Jason was easy to track. He posted everything. New hiking boots. A dumb reel of him testing out a GoPro. Caption. Ready for that wilderness reset, smiling face with sunglasses fire. Her assistant posted a countdown story. HR retreat, incoming. No phones. No filters. No spouse's face blowing a kiss. Cute. I bought binoculars. Packed snacks. Scoped out the trails surrounding the lodge using satellite view. Found where the fire pits were. Mapped the angles. I wasn't going in guns blazing. Not yet. This wasn't just about catching her. It was about exposing her, perfect Tina, in front of the people who put her on a pedestal. If she wanted to play queen of the HR kingdom, then I was going to show them exactly how she ruled. And Jason? I wasn't forgetting him either. Because the only thing worse than a liar is the guy who smiles while helping her do it. They thought they'd spend the weekend roasting marshmallows and sneaking kisses behind the cabins. But I was going to be there too. And if they wanted primal bonding in the woods, they were about to get it. I thought I was ready to see the truth. But watching her sit on his lap, laughing like I never existed. That broke something I didn't know I still had. I got there early, checked into the cabin under a fake name, paid cash, no questions asked. The place was bare bones, single bed, small fridge, a wood stove that hadn't been cleaned in years. But I wasn't there for luxury. I was there for eyes. I set up just before dusk, binoculars in hand, notepad, power bank. Every part of me felt like a man I didn't recognize anymore. Steady hands, cold blood, jaw clenched so tight it hurt to talk. From my cabin, I had a clear view through the trees to the main lodge. I watched as the vans pulled in. Laughter, bags slung over shoulders. Jason climbed out first, backwards cap, sunglasses, smug as hell. The kind of guy who high-fives women after hugs. The kind who calls everyone legend and thinks it's charming. Tina followed, wearing that green flannel shirt I bought her last fall. The one she said made her feel cozy. She didn't look cozy now. She looked radiant, glowing, energized in a way I hadn't seen in months. She hugged everyone, did her fake little squeal, tossed her hair, and when Jason made a dumb joke, she did that thing where she laughed and swatted his arm, slow, deliberate, lingering. The sun dipped lower. They gathered around the fire pit. Red cups, marshmallows. Classic, we're all just co-workers having a harmless good time energy. But I watched her carefully. The way she leaned into Jason. The way her body seemed to forget space when it came to him. They started roasting marshmallows. Someone turned on a Bluetooth speaker, some upbeat playlist with 2000s throwbacks. I heard faint snippets of Usher and early Katy Perry drifting through the trees. She was play-fighting with Jason over the last marshmallow. He accidentally smeared it on her cheek. She shrieked. He grabbed a napkin and wiped it, slow, fingers grazing her jaw. She didn't flinch, didn't pull away. She smiled. And then, like they were alone, like no one else was watching, she climbed into his lap. Just like that. Natural. Practiced. Her arms around his neck, his hands on her thighs. The firelight flickering across her face, her teeth white behind that open-mouthed laugh she used to save for me. Nobody said anything. Not her boss. Not the intern. Not the girl taking pictures for the company newsletter. Just another night at the lodge. Just the queen on her throne, in someone else's lap. I lowered the binoculars, stomach turning. I wasn't even surprised anymore. I felt something colder. Clarity. There it was. The confirmation. The betrayal. The audience. And the opportunity. Because if she was comfortable enough to do that in front of the entire team, then she was comfortable enough to fall in front of them too. She'd already written the first half of the story. I was going to finish it. And by the time I was done, she'd wish she'd never picked up that damn marshmallow. He said I was clueless. She didn't correct him. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I didn't sleep. I lay in that freezing cabin, every sound of the woods pressing against the thin walls. I replayed it all. Her laugh, her arms around him, the way she settled into his lap like it was where she belonged. She didn't look guilty. She looked home. Morning came gray and cold. Fog blanketed the trees. I sipped black coffee from a thermos and watched the team gather by the trailhead. Day 2 on the itinerary. Group hike plus trust exercises. Perfect. I slipped on my boots, grabbed a rental trekking pole, and walked toward the trail from the public access side. Not part of the retreat, but close enough to blend in. I kept my head low. Ball cap pulled down. Hoodie up. Sunglasses on. To them, I was just another hiker passing through. To me, they were the theater, and I was front row. I walked behind them for a while. Close enough to hear. Far enough not to draw eyes. They laughed. Teased each other. Someone made a joke about forgetting the trail mix. Jason offered up beef jerky like a Boy Scout in overpriced boots. And Tina? She floated between everyone, checking in, smiling, giving those casual touches to arms and backs and shoulders. When the trail narrowed, they broke into smaller groups. That's when it happened. Jason and another guy, tall, buzz-cut, probably some mid-level manager, slowed to let the rest pass. And Tina? She fell right in step beside them. Jason laughed. She's got to keep me in check. I'm a problem. Buzzcut chuckled. Nah, you're just lucky HR's on your side. Jason lowered his voice, but I still heard it. She says her husband's clueless. I froze. The guy laughed, loud, unbothered. Then Tina said it. Playfully, but not a denial. Stop. Drawn out. Flirty. The kind of stop that means don't. My fists curled at my sides. nails digging into palms. She didn't say, "Don't talk about him." She didn't say, "That's not true." She didn't say anything that mattered. Just that one word. Soft and complicit. Jason laughed. "She keeps me in line. Except after dark." The other guy howled. "Man, I need an HR rep like that." Tina said nothing. And that silence? It said everything. I slowed my pace, heart hammering. Every joke confirmed it. Every laugh sealed it. She wasn't being manipulated. She wasn't caught up in a moment. She was in it. Fully. Deliberately. They reached the top of the trail and took a group photo. Jason had his arm around her waist. Not hiding. Not sneaking. Just claiming. And she let him. I turned around, walked back toward my cabin, legs heavy with rage and something colder, resolve. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about the lie she'd woven around her whole damn life. And I was going to rip it out, thread by thread. Publicly. Permanently. But first, I needed the perfect moment. The perfect place. And maybe a little help. Truth circle. The words sounded harmless. But in the right hands, they could destroy an empire. I spent the afternoon watching from the edge of the woods, memorizing routines. Who went where? Who whispered to who? Who took orders, and who gave them? And then I saw her. Not Tina. The intern. She couldn't have been more than 23. Nervous, eager, overdressed for a hiking trip. She carried a clipboard like it was armor. Every time Tina barked instructions, the girl nodded like her job depended on it. Which, knowing Tina, it probably did. When the group split for free time, I made my move. Caught her at the outdoor coffee station, the kind with weak instant brew and stale granola bars. "Hey," I said, nodding like we'd already met. "You're with the HR group, right?" She blinked. Yeah. I think I saw you yesterday, near the trail. I'm staying nearby, cabin 9. "Oh, cool." She smiled, polite but cautious. "I keep seeing your group around," I said casually, sipping from a paper cup. "Looks fun. You guys doing the truth circle tonight?" Her eyes lit up. "Yeah, it's like the big finale." "What's that about?" I asked, tilting my head. "It's kind of like this bonding ritual," she said, lowering her voice like she was letting me in on a secret. "We all sit around the fire and say something real about work. Vulnerabilities, lessons, that kind of thing." "Sounds intense." "It is." She smiled nervously. "But honestly, it's amazing. Tina created it last year, and now it's tradition." Of course she did. "People get emotional," she continued. "One guy last year cried about imposter syndrome. Another admitted he hated his promotion. And it's public? Totally. Everyone attends. No phones, no cameras, just raw truth." She grinned. "It's sacred." "Sacred. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks," I said, patting her shoulder. "Enjoy the fire tonight." She beamed like she'd just been promoted. I walked back to my cabin, adrenaline humming like a live wire under my skin. A truth circle. Mandatory. Emotional. Surrounded by fire and faces and no distractions. It couldn't have been a better stage if I'd designed it myself. Because tonight, they weren't just going to hear the truth. They were going to watch it burn. But I needed one more thing. I opened my email. Found the address. Jason's wife. Her Instagram was locked, her Facebook private. But her name had popped up months ago on a Christmas card Tina almost threw away. Love, Jason, and Melissa. I'd remembered. Now I was ready to use it. I sent the email. Simple. Direct. Subject: you deserve the truth. Body: your husband is on a retreat. So is my wife. Attachment: 3 photos. The disposable camera ones. The worst ones. Last line: if you want answers, come to the lodge tonight. Truth circle. 9 p.m. Asked for Tina. I didn't know if she'd show. But if she did, 2 betrayed spouses. 1 fire pit. 100 secrets. And no more shadows to hide in. I expected rage. What I got was colder. Calculated. She wasn't just coming for him. She wanted blood. She replied an hour later. No subject line. No greeting. Just one line. Be there by 8. Make it hurt. Her name was Melissa. I didn't know what I expected. Some crying, cheated on cliché? Maybe. But that reply told me everything I needed to know. She'd been suspecting. Waiting. Looking for confirmation. And now that she had it, she was ready to burn it all down. I told her where to meet me. Just off the service road near the back cabins. Private. Out of sight. When her car pulled in, a white Volvo, spotless, she stepped out like she'd just come from court. Blazer. Hair tight. Phone in one hand, printed photos in the other. She didn't even say hello, just held one of the photos out. Where was this taken? Last retreat, I said. Couple months ago. She stared at it. Jason grinning. Tina on his lap, their bodies tangled like they'd never heard the word married. Her hand didn't shake. Where's your wife? Probably curling her hair for her big speech. Melissa nodded once, sharp. He said he needed space, she said, voice like ice. Said work was overwhelming. Started sleeping in the guest room. I thought he was cheating. I just didn't want to be right. I didn't respond. What could I say? She wasn't here for comfort. She was here for war. Here's the plan, I said. They do this thing at the end of the retreat, a fire circle. Everyone's required to speak. It's meant to be honest. Open. Vulnerable. She raised an eyebrow. Sounds disgusting. Perfectly disgusting, I said. And you're going to walk in at the climax. With what? I pulled out a manila envelope. Inside, blown-up versions of the worst photos. Tina on his lap. Jason holding her ring in his teeth. And one more, a printed transcript of Jason's Instagram DMs. Flirty. Inappropriate. A line that read, "She says I'm the only one who sees her anymore." Melissa skimmed it. Laughed. Once, bitter and guttural. He's so stupid. I handed her a lodge visitor pass I'd swiped from the unattended welcome table earlier. Walk in at 9:15. Say you're looking for your husband. Say Tina invited you. She stared at me. You sure you want this public? I want them humiliated, I said, voice steady. And I want the people who covered for them to see what they enabled. Melissa took a slow breath. Then she smiled. Not warm. Not kind. Sharp. Like someone who just realized they were stronger than the pain. Let's kill a love story, she said, and walked back to her car. I stood there as her taillights faded into the trees, feeling the weight of what was coming. It wasn't just revenge anymore. It was justice, and it was going to come from both sides of the fire. She said, I love my job because it feels like family. That's when I stepped out of the shadows and introduced myself. The air was colder than the fire could fight. They'd formed a perfect circle around it. Folding chairs, red cups. Every face turned soft and reflective under flickering flame. Someone had brought a Bluetooth speaker playing low instrumental music. Something moody. Safe. Tina sat beside Jason. Not touching, but close. Their knees bumped every time someone shifted. She wore a loose cardigan and jeans. Her hair curled just the way I knew she liked it for photos. The firelight made her glow, not in a romantic way, but like a politician moments before a campaign speech. She held a notebook. Of course she did. The group went clockwise. One by one. Someone talked about burnout. Another about imposter syndrome. A guy with a nervous smile confessed he wanted to quit and write a book. They clapped. Nodded. Someone said, That's so brave. Tina was last. She always was. The finale. The anchor. The queen. She stood slowly. Looked around. Took a long, theatrical breath. This job, she said, her voice soft but clear, has saved me more times than I can count. The group leaned in. They were used to her speeches. She was the heart of the office. The wise one. The fun one. The one who bought everyone custom mugs and made mental health check-ins mandatory. I've gone through things, she continued, that would have broken me if it weren't for this team. This place. These weekends. Jason smiled at her like he already knew the speech. Like he'd helped her rehearse it in bed. Tina glanced at him, then looked down at her notebook. I love my job, she said, voice trembling just enough to sound authentic. Because it feels like family. That's when I stepped out of the dark. Boots crunching on gravel. One foot after another. Straight into the firelight. Every head turned. Confused. Nervous. Tina's face dropped. Mouth half open. Eyes wide. Jason went rigid, his body jerking upright like someone had hit a tripwire. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't storm in. Just walked to the edge of the circle and said, calm and quiet. That's cute. Half the team blinked. The other half froze like statues. Sorry to interrupt, I said, looking at her. But I figured it was time we talked about the kind of family Tina's been building. No one moved. Tina stood there, notebook forgotten in her lap, fingers gripping the edges like a life raft. Do you know who I am? I asked the group. No one answered. Tina's husband, I said, letting the words settle. Though apparently, I've been edited out of her highlight reel. A manager cleared his throat. I don't think this is the time. Oh, I do, I cut in. It's exactly the time. I reached into my backpack. pulled out the manila folder. The same one Melissa had. But this copy was for the public. 8 by 10 prints. Thick paper. High gloss. I held up the first one, Tina and Jason at the last retreat. Her arms around his neck. His hands up her shirt. The fire lighting their faces like a scene from a softcore movie. Gasps. Someone actually said, "Holy shit." Tina's face drained of color. Jason stood. But I wasn't done. I held up the next one. Him shirtless, her wedding ring around his neck like a prize. And then, a voice behind me. Clear. Loud. Female. "This your team bonding technique, Jason?" Everyone turned. Melissa stepped into the circle. Every eye snapped to her. She walked forward like she owned the ground. Jason's face went white. Tina looked like she might vomit. Melissa held up the matching photos. "The guy who needed space," she said. "The one who couldn't talk about feelings?" Turns out he had plenty to say when he was between her legs. No one knew what to do. The intern covered her mouth. Someone dropped their drink. Jason stammered. "Melissa, I can explain." "Oh, I bet you can," she said, stepping closer. "But let's do it in front of your little HR therapy group, shall we?" I turned to Tina. She was shaking now, folding in on herself. But not crying. Not apologizing. Not even trying to lie. Just exposed. Stripped of every excuse. Every shield. And this was just the beginning. She blinked like she could erase what was in my hands. But I wasn't holding photos. I was holding the moment her mask shattered. Tina didn't speak first. Of course she didn't. She just stood there, face pale, lips parted, like she was waiting for someone to throw her a line. But no one did. Not even Jason. Especially not Jason. Because Melissa was already tearing him apart. "I packed your lunch the day you left," she snapped. "And you were in this woman's cabin 48 hours later. Was that the plan? Have one queen at home and another by the fire?" Jason stuttered. "It wasn't like that." "Then how was it?" she snapped. "Was it just a joke too? A drunken mistake? Because I've seen the timestamps. I've seen the comments. You had a whole damn relationship and thought I wouldn't notice because it happened under fairy lights." The crowd was silent. No one laughed. No one interrupted. They just watched. Jason's boss looked like he'd aged 10 years in 10 minutes. I turned to Tina. Held up another photo, one she hadn't seen yet. It was from the night hike. Jason whispering something in her ear. Her eyes closed, lips parted. Intimate in a way no coworker should ever be. She gasped when she saw it. Because this time, someone else in the background was holding a flashlight. Someone had taken it. Unknowingly. And still, she smiled like she had nothing to hide. I stepped closer. "You remember this one?" I asked her. "You know what I remember about this night, Tina?" She didn't answer. "I was at home, fixing the porch light. Thought you'd love it when you got back. You always said it flickered too much. Funny how my light was flickering while you were out here, glowing for someone else." Someone behind her whispered, "Oh my God." A guy to the left muttered, "This is bad." Tina stepped forward, voice finally cracking. "Caleb, please. Let's talk. Privately." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so her. "Privately? You wanted private. You should have kept your legs closed at a public fire." Gasps. Real ones. Even Jason winced. But I wasn't done. I reached into my folder and tossed a few more sheets onto the ground. Not photos. HR complaints. Anonymous ones. Written by employees. Ignored by Tina. One of them, I'd gotten from someone inside. The intern. She'd seen Tina cover for Jason. Turned a blind eye when he got too friendly. She thought it was weird. Now she knew it was corrupt. Tina stared at the papers like they were foreign. "No one's supposed to see those," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "Exactly," I said. A guy across the fire stood up. This could be a lawsuit," he said. "What the hell, Tina?" "I didn't mean." "You let this go on," a woman said. "You let him harass people while you were screwing him behind our backs." "It wasn't like that," Tina said, choking on the words. I didn't know what to do." Melissa crossed her arms. "You knew exactly what you were doing. You just didn't think anyone would catch you." Jason tried to speak. "Shut up," she said, pointing at him. "You're done." Tina looked at me, begged me, with her eyes, to stop. But I was already turning away. Already done. I wasn't here to destroy her. She did that herself. I just made sure everyone saw it happen. Someone screamed. Someone cried. But all I heard was the sound of the truth tearing through the woods like a storm we'd all seen coming. The circle didn't just break, it erupted. Tina stepped back, hand over her mouth, eyes glassy. Jason spun toward Melissa like he could still talk his way out of this. Melissa, please. She threw her drink in his face. The fire hissed when it hit the embers. Jason recoiled, dripping. You lied to me, she shouted. You humiliated me. And you did it with someone who sends out weekly mindfulness quotes. Someone gasped. Someone else laughed. The kind of sharp, nervous sound that breaks when reality is too much. Tina. Jason turned to her, eyes wide, hands out. She didn't move, didn't speak, just collapsed into her chair like the weight of it all had finally caught up. Then the real chaos began. The intern stood up, shaking. Is this true? She asked. About the HR stuff? You knew Jason was making people uncomfortable and you still covered for him? Tina, tell them that's not true. A voice called, her boss, Harold. But it didn't sound like a command. It sounded like begging. Tina opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I didn't think it was serious. That's not your call, the intern snapped. You literally run HR. If you ignore complaints, what the hell are the rest of us supposed to do? The circle dissolved. People standing, whispering, some yelling. Jason looked ready to bolt. But I wasn't done. I took out one last folder. This one thicker. Printed emails, timestamps, Slack messages, screenshots, all the ignored reports. Some from women, some from men, all buried, all protected by her. I tossed it in Harold's lap. Looks like your HR star just torched your legal department, I said. He looked down. Read one line. Swallowed hard. We're gonna need to suspend her, he muttered. Someone behind him barked. Suspend? She needs to be fired. Jason took a step toward Tina. We should talk. Privately. She flinched like he'd raised a hand. And then, for the first time since I walked into the light, she looked at me. Eyes wet. Face cracked. Not rage. Not denial. Just that horrible, silent what have I done look. The one cheaters where when the fantasy finally burns down and they realize the fire's real. But I didn't look back. I just turned. Left them in the smoke and screaming. I walked into the woods without saying another word. Because the truth? It had already spoken loud enough. The fire went out, but the smoke never cleared. Not for her. Not for him. And not for me. It didn't take long. 3 days after the retreat, the story started leaking. An anonymous Reddit post titled, HR Queen or just the Queen of Cover UPS? Then came the screenshots, Jason's messages, Tina's comments, even a blurry photo of the fire circle confrontation. Someone had recorded. Of course they did. Nothing stays sacred when secrets spill like blood in the water. By day 5, Tina was suspended. Jason's wife filed for divorce the same morning HR launched an internal investigation. The intern, bless her brave, terrified soul, went to the press. A mid-level manager from the retreat backed her up. Then another. Then someone from accounting with receipts of retreat expenses Tina never reported. By the end of the week, it wasn't just gossip. It was news. Corporate scandal. Misuse of authority. HR misconduct. Fraternization cover-ups. They even found a podcast to talk about it. I watched it all from my phone, sitting on the porch I built, under the new light I installed, drinking coffee from the mug she gave me on our 3rd anniversary. It said, World's Best Husband. I laughed when I saw it again. But it wasn't a bitter laugh. It was freeing. That Sunday night, the doorbell rang. I knew it was her before I opened it. Tina stood there with a tote bag slung over her shoulder, her eyes swollen from crying, her hair frizzed from rain or maybe just collapse. She looked like someone who'd walked through fire barefoot. I lost everything, she whispered. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. No, I said. You lost me first. Her lip trembled. Caleb, I messed up. I know. But this can't be how we end. She reached into her bag, pulled out a folder. I've been talking to lawyers. About the house. About the car. But I didn't want to do anything without. Without what? I cut in. My blessing. She closed her eyes. I never meant for it to go this far. And yet, I said, you kept going. Every time I gave you trust, you fed it to him like scraps. She stepped forward. I stepped back. There's more to the story, she said, voice trembling. More you don't know. There's always more with you, I said. And I'm done listening. I pulled my phone from my pocket. Opened the recording app. Pressed play. The fire circle. My voice. Her voice. Jason's. The gasps. The meltdown. The truth. All of it. Crystal clear. What's that for? She whispered. Legal protection, I said. And maybe YouTube. Her mouth fell open. You wouldn't. I looked her dead in the eye. You always wanted attention, Tina. Now you've got it. She stood there, drenched, speechless, stripped of every lie she used to wear like perfume. I closed the door slowly, not with a slam, just with finality. Because forgiveness is something you offer when there's a future to save. But some bridges deserve to burn. The campfire ended their affair, but lit the match on my freedom. I didn't see Tina again after that night. Not in person, but her face showed up everywhere. A grainy still from the fire circle made it into a viral TikTok. Someone added slow music and a caption, "When HR goes too far." It got 1.3 million views in 2 days. She trended, briefly, but not for her smile or her Pinterest perfect office decor. For the fall, for the truth. Jason tried to get ahead of the story with a post about respecting boundaries and mental health struggles. Didn't work. He was fired within the week. Tina's suspension turned permanent. The company scrubbed her from their website, deleted old team photos, issued a bland corporate statement full of words like integrity and accountability. No lawsuits were filed. They settled everything in silence. But her name? That stain never came out. She tried reaching out again. Once. Left a letter in the mailbox. Said she was in therapy. That she missed us. That she still wore the bracelet I gave her when I proposed. I didn't read past the second paragraph. The letter went into the fire pit behind the house. The same pit I built the summer we moved in. Back when I thought burning wood was the only kind of fire that could tear through a man. It burned quick. Easy. Like it had been waiting. 3 months later, I met someone new. No games. No secrets. No filtered good vibes only nonsense. Just real. Honest. Her name was Leah. She managed a bookstore downtown. Had a laugh that didn't sound rehearsed and eyes that didn't dart every time her phone buzzed. We talked about everything. Even Tina. Even the fire. I don't know how you stayed that calm, Leah said once, shaking her head. I smiled, sipping my coffee. That wasn't calm. That was controlled burn. She laughed. I did too. And for once, it didn't feel like I was laughing through anything. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about that photo. The one from the disposable camera. Tina on his lap. Fire behind them. Her head tilted back like she was invincible. I wonder if she ever looks at it now. If she ever sees the moment where everything started to end. But I don't linger on it. Because the truth? It wasn't just a photo. It was a mirror. One I finally had the courage to look into. And what I saw there wasn't a broken man. It was someone reborn. Someone who walked into fire and came out clean.